here. Is my voice audible? Alright, thank you. Okay, so let's get started on this webinar. First of all, good morning and thanks for coming in. Let me try and put the presentation up for now.
Right, so this is how the webinar would follow today. We'll first discuss the role of the GMAT exam in MBA admissions. As you know, for MBA admissions, there are quite a few criteria. So we would discuss the role of the GMAT. The TOEFL and IELTS requirement, we would touch upon that a little bit, because you will need to plan your exams accordingly. We would also talk about academic record, what role it plays, how much weightage is given, etc. And a controversy, or a lot of people have these questions about the 5-year versus 6-year. 15-year versus 16 years. So do you need to have a 16-year education to apply for the US, etc. So we'll talk about that also in detail. Then we'll talk about work experience. Firstly, is work experience mandatory? We get this question a lot from different quarters about how important work experience is, or is work experience mandatory at all. So we'll talk about that. Then this is one important segment, the importance of extracurricular activities. This happens to be one area where Indian students they suffer a lot. This is the reason why I am taking this up today. Today is the third webinar of our series, so I want to take this up early enough for you to have time to do something about it. As you know, this is a 6-part webinar series, so we'll talk more about other aspects of applications in the coming sessions, but I wanted to take this up in the third session itself, so that you guys can start doing activities now, or at least start working on presenting whatever extracurricular activities you have till now. So this is actually one important way where you can work on your profile, right? Then we'll talk about MBA specializations. So when you apply to B schools, you have to write about why you want to do the MBA. So in that application essay or interview, you have to it helps if you talk about a specialization, that something that you are interested in. It shows even clearer focus, right? And clarity of focus is the most important criteria in B school application essays. So I'll talk about what type of specializations are available, who should be doing what specializations, and more importantly, who should not be doing a certain kind of specialization, right? Then we'll end with different B school options in India, in Europe, in Asia, different types of B schools that are available, and what kind of GMAT scores they usually accept. Of course, that is by no means a comprehensive list. It is impossible to discuss about all the available B schools in the world, as you can, I'm sure, completely comprehend. So we'll touch upon the most important ones, or the most popular ones for that matter, and the range of GMAT scores that they accept. But then again, the GMAT score is just one of the things in the admissions criteria, so it will just give you a brief idea, but depending on the rest of your profile, the GMAT score requirement would vary among the different applicants, right? So this would be our agenda. And in case let's say we are on this slide and you have a question regarding MBA specialization, then I will have to request you to hold on to your question. We'll follow this agenda quite strictly. If you have any other questions, again hold on to your questions. We will try to fit in a Q&A session towards the end of the webinar. Okay, have all understood? Everything clear? We keep showing this admissions criteria. We have shown this in the first webinar. Now we showed it in the second webinar. Now I am showing it to you in the third webinar. It's very important. One objective, the objective of showing this list is to draw your attention to the fact that GMAT is not the only thing that is required. Universities look at a variety of criteria. So while you are preparing for your GMAT exam, do not ignore the rest of the profile. So you have to work on your profile. So basically improving your profile, that work needs to go side by side along with your GMAT preparation. GMAT is one of the criteria. It's not the only criteria. That is the only objective of this slide, and we will keep on showing this to you throughout our webinars. Right. Now, how important is the GMAT score? Obviously, it's important, but as you can see, even if you have an 800 out of 800, that does not guarantee a Harvard, or it does not guarantee any B school. There are colleges, there are students who even with very high scores, they have got rejections, and there are numerous cases where even with GMAT scores below the average of the B school, people have got admission if the rest of the profile is good. All of you already know this, that most schools do not have GMAT cutoffs. So it's not that it's not that some school will need a 700. Also, there is no concept of sectional cutoffs, unlike CAT, where if you are applying for any Indian IIM and you are going through CAT, so they will have sectional cutoffs as well. But for other B schools, they do not have cutoffs for the GMAT scores. They do prefer students with a balanced sectional scores. So if you have a 51 in your maths and a 28, 25 in your verbal, that is not a very good scenario. So yes, they do like students who have a balanced sectional scores. The AWS section is the only section where B schools impose a cutoff, and the cutoff is 4. Some of the top B schools, they also have the cutoff of 4.5. Right. So what you should do is that in your GMAT preparation, do not ignore the AWS section. Whenever I meet students, they are very focused on the verbal section, they are very focused on the math section, but people start practicing the AWS essays only when they are probably 2 to 3 weeks away from the GMAT exam, which is probably not a good thing to do. So just write one AWS essay per week, that should be enough, but you need to be in touch with writing. Writing essays is not everybody's cup of tea. So do not ignore your AWS section. You should know that is the only section for which business schools impose a cutoff. Let's say you have a 700 and somebody from Nepal has a 600. So does this mean that you will be given preference over him? Well, the answer is no. The first stage of competition is within your own country pool, right? That's why you might see that Indian students with 700, 720, they might get rejected from top B schools, but somebody from Zimbabwe or Nepal getting admission with 650 or even as low as 620. So that is because the first level of competition is in your own country pool. So can you take a guess? What is the percentage of international students, average percentage of international students in a B school? Okay, actually it's about in US B schools it's about 30 to 35%. European B schools the number is far higher, obviously, but US B schools it's about, and some of them go up to 38 also. Right, so now of this 38, you will see that they cover a lot of nationalities, right? Now let's say that you have a B school where the class size is 1000. So now in this 30% for ease of calculation, let's say 30% are international students. So how many international students are there? 300, right? Now of these 300, there will be multiple nationalities. Yes, Indians and Chinese, they do comprise of the highest percentage among these international students, but among of these 300 also, maybe about 10% will be, or 15% will be Indians. So 15% of 300 will be how much? Yes guys, come on, help me with the math. 15% of 300 will be how much? 45. So you are actually competing for these 45 seats. So this is what you need to understand. If B schools take students only based on GMAT scores, then the entire classroom would be filled with Indians and Chinese. So that is guaranteed. But they don't do so. They want to maintain the diversity of the class. So actually, even though the class size may be 1000, you are competing for 45 to 50 seats. And it's not like a quota thing. It's not that they have to fill 50 seats with Indians, or they cannot fill more than 50 seats with Indians. But this will give you an idea about what your competition pool is. That's why you need to have good GMAT scores. If you go on the gmsc.com website, you will see that Indians, they have some of the highest average GMAT scores among all GMAT test takers in the world. In fact, the average, can you guess what's the average score, average sectional score of maths among Indians? Okay, so you can, that is average among 25,000 test takers. So you have to, so if you are getting a 49, you are just hitting the average, right? And you, all those 25,000 would be actually competing in the same application pool as you are. So I mean that very often I get questions from students that this B school, on the website they are showing the average GMAT score as 700. So if I have 700, I should get admission. The answer is no. The 700 is the average of all the students sitting in that class. The 45 or 50 student Indians, you know, assuming that it's a 1000 size classroom. So if it's 45 of those 45 Indian students, it's guaranteed that they probably have an average of 720 or 730, right? All of you agree with me? So this is an interesting concept to keep in mind. The average scores or the median scores that are getting displayed on the university websites, especially US websites, they can be misleading. So bottom line is, a good score may not get you in. If your rest of the profile is very bad, then a good score will not get you in. However, a very bad score will surely keep you out. And what's the meaning of a very bad score? That varies from the university to university. If university has an average GMAT of 650 and your score is 600, then it is a very bad score for that university. If the university's average GMAT is 700 and your score is 650, then it's a bad score for that university. So what is a bad score? That the answer to that question varies from university to university and depends on the university that you are applying to. Having said that, GMAT plays a very important role in the application process. Can you guess why? So this is the admission criteria, and GMAT plays a very important role. Why? Because this is the only standardized thing in the entire list of criteria. Academic record will vary from country to country, or in fact even within the same country academic record would vary. Some universities may have very lenient grading system, some universities might have very stringent grading system. So academic record would vary. Work experience would also vary. I mean, how do you compare the work experience of a doctor with the work experience, you know, of somebody in the army, let's say, right? So work experience is also varies. Extracurricular activities vary. So the only thing that is standardized for all applicants is the GMAT score. So if as an Indian student is getting a 700, so that 700 means 700. It does not mean that for an American student it will be 620, nothing like it. So because GMAT score is the only available parameter based on which they can do a first level of comparison among applicants, that's why GMAT plays a very important role in the entire application process. Okay. Now TOEFL. The reason why I want to talk about TOEFL in in the third session is that, again, so that you can plan your exams, whether you need to take the TOEFL or whether you need not take the TOEFL. That decision you should be able to take. First of all, TOEFL is not mandatory. If you are applying for an MS degree or a PhD degree or a bachelor's degree, then TOEFL used to be mandatory. But for MBA degrees, TOEFL is not mandatory. So if you read, if you have completed your bachelor's degree from a university where the official medium of instruction is English, then you do not need TOEFL or IELTS in Indian B schools, Asian B schools, European B schools at the time of applying. So for the time of visa, they might ask for a TOEFL or IELTS score. Few of the top B schools in the US and Australian B schools. In fact, in UK, TOEFL is not accepted. So if you are applying to a B school in UK where the language test is mandatory, then you have to take the IELTS. So UK B schools or the UK entire college or school system in UK, they do not accept TOEFL. They accept only IELTS, right? So if you are applying to any UK B school which will have the language comprehension test mandatory, then you will need to take the IELTS, right? Okay, so can you name a few USB schools which do not require the TOEFL? There are quite a few. Your Harvards and Whartons and Duke, Darden, Cornell, Columbia. None of them require the TOEFL. UC Berkeley, UCLA, they would need the TOEFL. So there are colleges in top 20, which will not require the TOEFL exam. Now, what is the meaning of official medium of instruction in English? It means that the language in which you have written your final exams in your college, if that language was English, they have no other way to measure whether the medium of instruction is English or not. They cannot come and record the classes that your professors had conducted in your college, right? So the only way to measure that is whether you wrote the exams in English or not. So if that is the fact, then you will not need the TOEFL in these colleges. However, if let's say you have done your bachelor's degree in Hindi medium or any vernacular medium, then you will need the TOEFL even in Indian B schools. So let's say you have done your bachelor's degree in Hindi medium. So even for ISB now you will need the TOEFL. So that is one interesting point. So you will have to then plan your exams accordingly. First take the GMAT. Of course, the GMAT is the major exam. So first take the GMAT. After that, you might need about a couple of weeks, to prepare for the TOEFL, and then take the TOEFL. TOEFL in itself is a very easy exam. Only problem is that the way it is conducted is little confusing, right? So to get a hang of the structure of the exam, take a few full-length tests, and you should be fine, right? The speaking section, for instance, you have to think for 15 seconds and speak for 45 seconds. So that kind of time management, might be difficult. So just to get a hang of the structure of the exam, you should take a few full-length mock tests. That should be it, No, Ankita, as I already said, do not prepare for TOEFL along with your GMAT exam. Do the GMAT first, and then after that you will need about 2 weeks to prepare for TOEFL, right? Arushi, your question is which US schools need TOEFL at the time of application? Arushi, if you are applying to a B school which needs TOEFL, then you will have to take the TOEFL at the time of application. The exam date, the TOEFL exam date has to be before the deadline of the university, right? Even if the score comes, in TOEFL the score does come little late. It takes about 2 to 3 weeks for the score to come, but the exam date should be before the deadline of the university. Nikhil, your question is, so you mean to say engineering doesn't need to give TOEFL? Well, Nikhil, if your engineering was in English medium, then you don't need to take TOEFL if you are applying to these B schools. So if you are applying to a US university like UT Austin or your UC Berkeley or UCLA or University of Southern California, there you will need to take TOEFL, right? Ankita, I don't know what language you did your engineering in, right? So if the language was in English, if the medium of instruction was in English, then you don't. In these specific colleges, it's not a blanket statement that you don't need to take TOEFL, right? Ranju, the cutoff is set at 100. There are some colleges like couple of years ago, Oxford University had set the cutoff at 110. So mostly the cutoff is 100. But check whichever university you are applying to, check whether they need TOEFL or not, and if they do need TOEFL, then what is the cutoff. For all other B schools in the world, you will need a TOEFL or IELTS score. The TOEFL cutoff is usually 100, as I said, but sometimes they UC Berkeley last year they had a cutoff of 105. So just check what the cutoff is, right? And what I mean by cutoff is that, let's say you are applying to a B school where the TOEFL requirement is 100. Then if you get a 100 or if you get a 120, there is no differentiation. Right? It's just a cutoff that you have to get. That's all. Okay. Any questions on the TOEFL test requirement? Your GMAT exam, for instance, is held 5 days a week, so you can take it whenever you are ready. But TOEFL exam is not held every day. It is held 2 to 3 times a month in a particular city. So go to the website TOEFL.org. So official website of TOEFL is TOEFL.org, and check that in your city what are the available TOEFL dates. So you have to make sure that there is a TOEFL date available before the deadline of the universities that you are targeting, right? So first take the GMAT, then take the TOEFL. Saransh, I already said that the ideal time for preparation time is, I haven't seen anybody prepare for more than 2 weeks, unless your English is very weak, 2 weeks should be. Anupam, see, take the IELTS only if UK is one of your UK is one of the destinations that you are targeting. Otherwise, IELTS is more convenient. Otherwise TOEFL is more convenient. And for IELTS, the cutoff is a lot of B schools, they have the cutoff as 7, and some of them also have the cutoff as 7.5. Just like TOEFL, check what the IELTS cutoff. Academic record, as I said that academic records vary from university, from country to country, and even within a country from university to university, and programs as well. So for example, if you have done BA English, then 60% is very good. But if you have done engineering, then 60% is just about average or maybe below average. So just you need to keep that in mind, and you have to understand that B schools get applications from all across the world. So they have to, it's very difficult for them to assess, whether any academic record is good or bad. Except Indian B schools, all other B schools, they will ask for your academic record after class 12. So they don't care about your class 10 and class 12 marks. They are going to look at your bachelor's degree or anything after that, right? If you have a postgraduate diploma or if you have a master's degree, all of those will be taken into account. But 10, 10, 12, they don't care about your 10, 10, 12 marks. So while assessing your academic records, B schools take the following things. Right? The college from where you have done your bachelor's degree. So you are going to get points for this. It's not the university but the college. For example, within Delhi University, for instance, there are different category of colleges. So the college from where you have done your bachelor's degree, so that is one criteria that helps the university understand, right? Then the bachelor's degree course that you have completed, as I said, whether it's a BA or BCom or BTech, right? So they take that also into account. Then your performance with reference to the usual standards of your university. Let's say you are from Pune University, and in Pune University, even for BTech degrees, the toppers get around 70-72%. So if you have got a 65% from Pune universities, that will be decent, right? But let's say you are from Andhra University or IP University, where the toppers get like 90 up to 90%. So if you have got a 65% from Andhra University or IP University, then that's not good. So the B schools, they will look at your performance with reference to the usual standards of your university. In short, what it means is that there's nothing you can do. You can anyway not change your academic record, and B schools take into account a lot of factors. So even if you feel that your academics is not good, so you just focus on your GMAT score. Academic record and GMAT score, they are viewed as one component by B schools. Both together, they give an indication to the university about whether you will be able to cope with the curriculum or not. So if you feel that your academic record is not that great, well, just focus on your GMAT and get a high score. On the other hand, if your academic record is very good, well, good for you. Now get a good GMAT score also, and then your chances improve, obviously, right? Yes, Hanish, one can cover for a poor GMAT, poor academic record through GMAT score. And GMAT will be the more recent representation of where you stand. So you can obviously, that is good. Moreover, you can take GMAT multiple times, right? And all of you might have already heard the news that nowadays when you send your GMAT score to B schools, so the cancellations don't appear. So in case you see the GMAT score and you don't like it after your GMAT exam, you can go ahead and cancel your score, and in your score reports it doesn't come. Arushi, your question is, how is maths honors considered in terms of a course? Arushi, the universities don't think whether a course is bad or good. I mean, they don't take a judgment about, if somebody has BSc Home Science, that means it's bad. They don't judge whether your bachelor's degree is good or bad. The quality of the bachelor's degree that you have done, that is not, they don't discriminate based on that. Another thing is that when you go to B school websites, you will see that they will say that the average undergraduate GPA is 3.2 or 3.5. So a lot of people start wondering, how can I convert my marks into GPA, right? Well, you cannot convert your marks to GPA. If you have a 75%, that does not mean that is not equal to 3 GPA, right? So you cannot convert your marks to GPA. So don't worry about your academic record. It is what it is. You can't change it. Move on. Focus on your GMAT. So there are, I see that there are about majority of you have 16 years of education. So that is good. And then some of you have 15 years of education. So the 15 years versus 16 years is a source of major debate. All B schools in India, Asia, Australia and Europe accept 15 years of education. So if you have a BCom, BA, BSc degree, you are perfectly fine applying to any B school in India, Asia, Australia or Europe, perfectly fine. About 20% of B schools in the US, they also accept the 15 years of education. So the top colleges like your Harvard, Wharton, Stanford, Duke, Cornell, MIT, everybody accept the 15 years of education. Mid-tier colleges like Vanderbilt, they also accept 15 years of education. So if the type of colleges that you are looking at, if they are okay with your 15 years of education, then you don't have to do anything extra. I mean, very often I see students worrying about how to complete the 16th year. More than that, I mean, you have so much of options left with you, right? So more than that, you should actually focus on the rest of your application. Having said that, there are colleges which they don't accept 15 years of education. All B schools in Canada accept Rothman. So if you are applying, if your sole focus is Canada, then accept Rothman. The other business schools, they do not accept the 3-year bachelor's degree. About 80% of B schools in the US, they also don't accept the 3 years of bachelor's degree, right? So some examples like Kelly, OSU, Fisher, Purdue, so they don't accept 15 years of education. Bottom line is that if you are not sure what kind of college you want to go to in US and US is your only destination, then you should take the TOEFL. Okay. Any other question? Any question? Anybody has any question regarding 15-year, 16-year thing? How many of you, anybody worried about this 15-year, 16-year thing? Siddharth, Kellogg and Cornell are perfectly fine. They accept 15 years of education. So first do your research about the B schools that you want to go to, and if they are okay with 15 years of education, then go ahead and apply. If they want 16 years of education, and if you are also really interested in going to that business school, then what you should do is that you should do a postgraduate diploma or something to complete that 16-year requirement. They are okay, business schools are okay with if you have a BCom plus a CA. So BCom plus CA, it completes the 16-year requirement. But if you are doing only 1 year of master's degree, 1 year of your MCom or MA degree, then a lot of business schools don't count that to be to make up for the 16th year. So if you have to go to a B school which needs 16 years of education, you are better off doing a postgraduate diploma, PG diploma, from a recognized university like IGNOS, Delhi University, Symbiosis, etc. It can be online also, but it should be a 1 year postgraduate diploma, right? Prasoon, having more than 16 years is it's neither an advantage nor a disadvantage. We have people who have PhDs also applying for MBA, so yes, it will add to your academic qualification, but the first level of comparison will remain your bachelor's degree performance. I think that addresses Siddharth's question as well. Now work experience, another interesting thing, that work experience is actually not mandatory for a lot of colleges. If you don't have work experience and you are starting your business education, you are getting almost a 2-year head start on your career. MSc management programs from top universities like HEC Paris, Manchester Business School, Oxford, LBA, so they all have MSc management programs for freshers, for people with no work experience, and they are equivalent to an MBA from a top B school, right? So just so those of you who do not have any work experience, instead of wanting to do an MBA immediately after your bachelor's degree, you might want to do an MSc management right now, or maybe MS Finance, MS Accounting, MEM kind of programs. These are like non-MBA programs which will land you with management job. So if you are a like fresher with zero work experience, the most advisable thing is probably to do an MSc management program or one of these programs, so that once you start working, you will start at a management kind of work. After working for 2-3 years, your profile will be really strong, and then you can apply for an MBA, right, instead of rushing into an MBA. Okay, so it's advisable to do these kind of programs. Bhaskar, your academic qualification is perfectly fine. Some B schools, some of the top B schools, they have now a lot of MBA programs, especially designed for people without work experience. This is a very limited list, but there are a lot more. You have got your Sunny Buffalo 2+2 MBA, you have got the Bentley Emerging Leaders program. So there are a lot of now programs specially designed for freshers. So work experience is no longer mandatory. You can't even say that if I don't have work experience, I will not get to a good school, because your Yale and Chicago, Stanford, they're all top schools, right? So work experience, if you really have to do an MBA right after your bachelor's degree, then yes, there are options available, but it may be more advisable to do one of the management related master's programs, so that you can then decide what to do for your MBA when you later on in your life when you do an MBA. Yes, Sumesh, all these programs, of course, the admissions criteria remain the same. JB, your question is, all Indian B schools require work experience? The ones, just I have a few data on that. Some of the Indian B schools where you can apply with GMAT and zero work experience. for our sessions we usually talk about B schools where GMAT is the admissions criteria. We don't talk about we don't have enough information about B schools which accept other entrance exams. So we will stick to the information based on the B schools where GMAT is an admissions criteria. So the Indian B schools where you can apply with GMAT and without any work experience will be your SPGen, the 2-year MBA program, and the Singapore Dubai program. ISB is already there. ISB is also an Indian B school. For those of you who do have work experience, first question is, how many years of work experience should I have? I get this question a lot. What is a good number of years of work experience? Well, there is no such fixed limitation, but a lot of countries, they impose some quantity cutoff. Like if you go to UKB schools, your Oxford, London Business School, Cambridge, etc., they have a 3-year work experience criteria. So you will need 3 years of work experience. Everywhere else they do not have any cutoffs in terms of quantity. But as you all know, the MBA programs in Europe and the MBA programs in Asia, they are shorter duration MBA programs. Therefore, it's advisable if you have 2 to 3 years of work experience, right? The reason is that the other people in your class, they would be having work experience. So to be able to compete with them after your MBA for jobs, etc., it is advisable to have 2 to 3 years of work experience if you are applying to Asian B schools. In fact, the shorter duration MBA programs, they do not have internships. That is another reason why you should have work experience if you are applying for any MBA program that does not have internship. If you are applying to a B school where the MBA program has a mandatory internship, then it's perfectly fine. But if you are applying to a shorter duration MBA program which does not have an internship, you are better off having some work experience under your belt, because that will improve your employability. Arushi, your question is, for London B school I read 2 on the website. The LBS Oxford and Cambridge is 3, so they might need 2 while at the time of applying maybe, but till the time you join, so you would anyway have 3 years of work experience, right? And check out the university websites yourself, right? Any questions on quantity of work experience? So bottom line, if you are targeting shorter duration MBA programs without internships, you are better off having some work experience under your belt. In terms of quantity of work experience, the US and Canadian B schools are the most liberal. We have had students getting into Wharton with 1.5 years of work experience. We had students getting into Stanford and Yale with less than 1 year of work experience. So these countries, the US B schools and Canadian B schools, because their MBAs are for 2 years and because they have a mandatory internship as a part of the MBA program, they are more liberal in terms of quantity of work experience. So for them, it's quality that's important.
Some more questions here that we have. So Hanish is asking, like in US, SMU, HKBS, anything about that?
Well, the Asian B schools like your NUS, NTU, SMU, HKST, etc. So there also it's better if you have 2 to 3 years of work experience, because they are again shorter duration MBA programs. So Himang, I think that addresses your question as well. So somebody had asked regarding MSc or MBA. Now that's as I said, if you have very less work experience, you might, and if you are not from one of the top colleges, so it helps to do an intermediate MSc program or MS engineering management kind of program before heading into an MBA. Shank, the more than 10 years of work experience does not have any negative implication. In fact, you would be above average for a lot of the B schools, and if you have a lot of work experience, it will help you in getting a job after the MBA. More than 15 or 18 years sometimes becomes a problem, because then the companies which hire, they would think that that you have very a few years of work left in you, you know. Otherwise 10 years is perfectly fine. But one thing you might want to look out for is the salary after 10 years, you know. After 10 years, if you see that you know, you might be at a quite a high salary level, right? So if the B school that you're applying to, if their average salary is lower than yours, then you should not be, you know, applying. Sarans, yes, 2 years should be fine depending on the rest of your profile. As I said, you know, more than quantity, you know, quality of work experience is also important, right? So your work experience, there should be a diversity among applicants. So what that means is that if 2 years from a software engineer is probably equivalent of you know, to 1 year, you know, I mean 1 year or even less than 1 year from an entrepreneur. So what kind of work you are doing is important. Your career graph is also important in comparison to your peers. So let's say the people who have joined at the same time as you did, where are they now, you know, in terms of designation or responsibilities and roles, and where you are. So your career graph in comparison to your peers is another data point for universities. And then leadership roles. So leadership roles does not mean designations. You do not have to be a manager per se, but what kind of leadership experiences you have. I mean, are you the kind of person who steps up? Are you the kind of person who has taken any initiatives? So these are the 3 things based on which quality of work experience is assessed, and that is actually more important for US and Canadian B schools. More than quantity, it's quality. For other B schools also, yes, I mean there is a quantity aspect and a quality aspect, but for US and Canadian B schools, quality aspect is often more important than the quantity aspect. Himang, when you will be applying, you will be writing application essays and you will be writing letters of recommendations. So based on your application essays and letters of recommendations, they would draw conclusions regarding the quality of your work experience. Okay, Bhaskar has a question. I have an offer from a startup where my designation and my roles responsibility will be more than my current status. Okay, yeah, I mean it's good, you know, definitely good. If you have already worked in some organization as a mid-level MHC, then if you're now moving on to a startup, does show taking risks and going to the next level of leadership. So it helps, you know, it will improve your profile. MNC to startup is a good jump. Yes, Arushi, actually you should be employed at the time of B schools, you know. Even if it's an internship or part-time job, you should be doing something. Let's say even if you're in your 4th year of engineering or 3rd year of your bachelor's degrees, your exams should have finished. If you're applying now, you are not going to college for sure. So in the current employment section of your application, it's good if you have something to. Manikanta, the work experience is counted till the start of the semester. So if you are applying to a USB school, so the work experience is counted till August. If you are applying to ISB, then work experience is counted till April. So work experience is counted till the time till the start of the semester. In European B schools, work experience is counted till the time you apply, not till the time of the start of the semester. So that's a differentiation. So Manikanta and Ashish, Bhaskar, all of your questions are answered. Arushi, any kind of work experience prior, and if you have in management roles, obviously, you know, it adds to the quality, so it will definitely. Okay, Nikhil, your question is, what if you want to join family business after MBA? Well, yeah, I mean that you can project it as an entrepreneurship. So within the family business itself, if you are doing some improvements or if you are redoing some processes, making it more efficient, etc. So in your essays, etc., you know, present it as more of an entrepreneurship thing. So family business work experience counts as work experience. Yes, Himang. So I think let's not go into the details of each and every type of work experience. I think we have covered the basics about what are the parameters based on which quality is assessed. I think that should be fine. If you have individual questions, you can always write in to us, right? Okay, so any guesses why extracurricular activities they play such an important role in a B school application? Okay, Hanish is saying enhances your profile. What about the rest of you? Okay, differentiator. Alright, Saransh is saying all round performer. Himang, show diversity. Any other guesses? I'm getting a lot of answers around diversity, but that is not the correct answer. Alright, okay, let me put another question to you. What is the one common quality among all good managers? So if you have to compare all good managers across all industries, what is one common quality? Okay, teamwork, leadership. Yes, Saransh has finally hit it. Time management, multitasking, right? So that is the one common quality. Multitasking and time management, that is the one common quality across the board, and that's what B schools want to see, right? I mean, ultimately they are supposed to be grooming people to be successful managers in the future. So presence of extracurricular activities in a profile during your college life or during your work experience, it shows that you can do different type of things, that you can manage your time well. That's why they play an important role, right? And you should definitely have some type of extracurricular activities. It is a common myth that you need to have certificates for everything. Well, you don't need certificates for everything, but you have to find a way to present it. By presentation I mean that, you know, either put things up on YouTube or blog or something like that. It helps if you can send URLs as a part of your online applications. So if you have any let's say you are a good singer or good dancer, or you play any musical instrument, so you should probably shoot short videos of yourself doing that and put the video up on YouTube. Make your own YouTube channel, and you can then send that URL in the online application form. Similarly, if you write well, or if you sketch well, if you paint well, if you are a photographer, and all these kinds of things, then make a blog, put up those stuff, display those, right? Write a short paragraph about each activity, in the blog, then put up the necessary pictures, and send that URL as a part of your applications. So hobbies also count. You don't have to go out and win some prizes. I mean, all of you have done something or the other, or if I'm sure everybody is doing something or the other, no matter how small. Obviously they don't want to see tons of extracurricular activities. You guys will be working individuals, so yes, there is a time constraint involved. So whatever you have been doing or whatever you are doing, try to present it now to the admissions committee, right? Siddharth, your question is, do ECAs need to include what we have done in school and college, or all of it you can include, but from school level only the important ones. Important ones means if you have participated in some Olympiad, if you have got NTSC scholarship, if you were in the Scout Guide, NTSC kind of things, NCC kind of things, or NSS performances, or if you are the school head boy or some group captain, or participated in school teams, so something major during school life, that needs to be included. And anything that you might have done in your college and work is fine. So that I already covered this, that you don't have to back anything by certificates, but it will help if you can find a way to display those. So you can actually go back to your school and take a letter, right? Not a recommendation letter, but on a letterhead, if you can get a letter, that helps. Or you can post photos of yourself from school days or college days doing activities. You can put those up on a blog. So find a way to display or present whatever you have been doing or what you have done, right? So think about it. All of you go back home and think about the different activities that you have done or you are doing. Himang, creating a blog right now, will it hamper your profile? No, it will not. You know, it will not hamper your profile. It will just show that you started a little late. Yes, in the blogs the start dates are noted, you know. So if you start now, so yes, you have started now, that's okay. But on the blog, it's a blog, you can put up things that you have done earlier. I'm not saying that the blog, having a blog itself count. I'm saying that use the blog as a tool to present whatever you have been doing. Well, if you can, Pratham, if you can get something from Trinity University, that's no. But then, if you have something grade 4, 5, it will help. Otherwise, probably it will not. More than that, you know, if you can, as I said, you know, shoot some short videos of yourself and put up on YouTube. That would be different MBA specializations. These are the common ones: finance, MBA finance, marketing, general management, consulting. These are the most common majors that Indian students opt for, or I mean have heard about maybe. General management, by the way, does not mean that an MBA without a specialization. General management in itself is a specialization. Sometimes I meet students who are under the impression that it's like a general BA degree, you know, where you don't have any honors. So they think that a general management MBA program means it's a pass course kind of thing. It does not work like that. General management in itself is a specialization. So general, now finance, if you have a commerce background in your education, it helps, you know. You can always, when you are writing in your applications that you want to go for a particular, you know, specialization, you should have reasons for choosing that. So let's say you are currently working in the manufacturing industry, and in your application if you are writing I want to do MBA finance, then there is no connection. You cannot justify your interest in finance. So in your when you are writing your applications, make sure that you have the necessary justifications. If you are a software engineer and you have worked with, let's say, Citibank or some banking company with some and done some projects, yes, then that will also work. You can say that that's how you got interested in finance, and you are an engineer, so anyway you are good with numbers, therefore you want to opt for MBA finance. That still makes some sense, right? Marketing also similarly, if you have never done anything related to marketing, then not a good idea to write in your applications that you are applying for MBA marketing. General management is a major where you should not write that you want to do general management if you don't have substantial, you know, like 5-6 years of work experience. General management is what a CEO or a senior management person does. General management means overall managing the company. So if you have just 2-3 years of work experience, then it does not make sense to say that you now want to do general management, right? So be very careful of what specialization you are writing in your essays. Consulting now is anybody can say that they actually want to do consulting, right? Consulting is one such field that where you don't have any, even if you don't have any prior exposure to consulting, it's perfectly fine. In fact, very few people have prior exposure to consulting. You cannot get into a McKinsey or anything right after your bachelor's degree at consulting level. Even if you do get a job in a consulting company right after a bachelor's degree, very often it's in the research section, not in the consulting section. So consulting is one major where even if you have no prior background, you know, it's perfectly fine. Okay, Bhaskar, it's fine. Sales and marketing are very closely related, so it's fine. So these are the most common majors. Then there are some other majors which are equally important, like non-profit management. You know, you can, if you are currently working as anything, right, from software engineer to construction, anything, you can go for that, provided you have some, at least some extracurricular activities related to non-profit. You know, if you have no exposure to non-profit, then it becomes difficult to justify in your essays. Operations operations also you can apply. Again, operations involves a lot of things, so irrespective of your background, you can say that you can apply for operations. Supply chain is if you have not worked in, I mean, a lot of we get a lot of merchant navy people or marine engineers. So for them actually supply chain management is a really interesting major, and they apply for this and they get admissions quite easily. So if you are in the FMCG sector, and so supply chain management would be a good option for you. So non-profit management and operations, yes, and supply chain management, these are interesting programs that you can look at. Human resources, again, almost anybody can apply. You can always make up a connection between your interest in that, right? And entrepreneurship also anybody can apply. You can say that it's linked to your long-term career goal of setting up your own enterprise. So, and entrepreneurship also anybody can apply, and of course you need not, or you cannot have prior exposure or experience of entrepreneurship to apply for that major, right? Next, these are some niche majors for which it will help if you have some kind of background, like real estate, sustainability, social entrepreneurship. They are niche majors. It helps if you have some kind of exposure or some kind of, at least some level of interest in it. These are very niche majors. For doctors, if you are if you come from the medical sector, if you have worked in pharmaceutical industries, or if you are a doctor, then you should opt for healthcare management as well. That is a really hot and happening sector. Saransh is a question: are there courses which will amalgamate finance and sales, or can I tailor? Yes, you can take two majors as well. It's very difficult to do that. You'll have to do a lot of courses, but if you want, you can actually do that. You can choose to do some courses from finance and some courses for sales. There are no direct, in case you go through the major options, sales is actually not a not an MBA major, right? So yes, you can take courses, but it's not usually an MBA major. For IT sector, as I said, it depends on your interest. If you have been working with financial institutions, you can go for finance major, or actually most of the IT sector people, they go for consulting major, but you can go for others also. So Arun, if you have like 5 to 6 years of experience in the IT sector, you can actually opt for general management also, right? Now another thing is that switching functions and industry is not easy. Yes, a lot of people use the MBA to switch industry, but it is not that easy. Let's say that you are a software engineer and you have applied for finance, right? So right from the first year onwards, you have to start working towards building your contacts, start taking courses. Make sure that your internship is related to finance, right? So if your internship is not related to the industry that you want to switch into, then it becomes very difficult. So keep this in mind, that if you want to switch your industry from whatever you were till now and to something else, then after the first year, the internship that you will have to do, make sure that internship is related or is relevant to the industry into which you want to. Pawan, you can obviously switch, oil sector also, then it has to come down to functions, right? Even every industry, there are different functions. So if you are in the HR of oil industry or operations of oil industry, so then you have to choose for the function. You can choose the industry keeping the function the same. So if you are working in the finance sector of let's say an IT company, you can easily switch to finance. So that's why I have written that switching functions or industry. Switching function is more difficult than switching industry. Ankita, people who have no work experience, consulting is the easiest thing to write. As I said, consulting is a very wide field. A lot of freshers and lot of people who are not sure what they want to do, they do write consulting. Technically, major selection happens in the second year. So in your essay, if you have written that I want to do MBA finance, that does not mean that you have to do MBA finance. You can choose something else. Let's say you are currently working in Airtel in the calling department, let's say, and you want to do MBA finance. In the application, if you write MBA finance, so there will be no connection and you will get a rejection. So in that case, it makes sense to go for something else, right? Consulting or something else. And what you finally do is a different story. So writing in the application the major that you want to do, that does not mean that you will have to do it. When you are writing your applications, write about an MBA specialization which is in sync with your profile and which is in sync with your long-term career goal. And yes, you can switch majors, that's what I mean. In the application, if you write MBA marketing, you need not actually do MBA marketing, you can do something else also. Right? Application essays, they are not going to match with what you applied for, right? Okay, so Ashish, yes, it works similarly for the but Indian B schools, your Great Lakes and ISB, they are actually 1 year MBA programs, so there you have to start halfway through the course. So actually the major this thing they happens starts halfway through the course. For the 2 year MBA program, it starts in second year. For the 1 year MBA program, after after the first semester, or two trimester. Ranju, what do you mean by executive MBA? If you mean 1 year MBA, actually, do you mean part-time MBA or 1 year MBA? Because outside India, executive MBA means part-time MBA. Okay, so 1 year full-time MBA, so they also have different majors available, but they are more inclined towards, their curriculum is more inclined towards general management, because it's a 1 year program, so they touch upon a little bit of everything. But you can choose a specialization within the 1 year MBA also. So Arun, what do you want me to elaborate on the consulting part? So for those of you who want to know what type of consulting are there, just go, visit the website of McKinsey or BCG or Bain. You'll see the different verticals within consulting. There's somebody who said that you are from the oil and natural gas sector, so you might actually want to apply for you might want to apply for an energy consulting major. So within consulting also there are different verticals. So Arun, just check out the curriculum in detail. Pick any B school and see the different, and within consulting there are a lot of verticals. Marketing consulting, IT consulting, finance consulting. Consulting is a very, very, very broad sector. Okay, some B schools options. India, these are some of them, of course, it's not an exhaustive list. ISB, Great Lakes, IIM Lucknow. So these 1 year programs, they have work experience criteria. They are not for freshers. They have cutoffs. So IIM Lucknow, they need 6 years. IIM Ahmedabad, they you need to be 27 years old. Bangalore has 5 to 7 years. Kolkata 5 years. Indoors, IIM Kozhikode also has started a 1 year MBA. So they are like, they have work experience cutoffs. So they are not for freshers. Then the rest of Asia. Himang, Great Lakes 3 to 4 years is fine. ISB is fine. SPGen is fine. They're fine, so they are fine. I said only these need, greater than 5 years. Rest of Asia, the top ones, your NUS, NTU, INSEAD, HKUST, SEEPS. Again, I reiterate that this is not a comprehensive list in any way. So for these, you would need a 700 plus kind of score. In the 600 to 700 GMAT score range, you have got University of Hong Kong, AI Manila, Singapore Management University, etc. Then in Canada, the top schools are Richard Ivey and Toronto Rotman. They come in the 700 plus, but of course, these are not cutoffs per se. These are usually, we have seen students get with 680, 690 also, depending on the rest of the profile. But you can say a ballpark estimation, you can say. Then in the 650 to 700 range, you have got Queens, York, Schulich. In the 550 to 640 range, you have got British Columbia, which is the Sauder Business School, McGill, Carleton. They have excellent placements. In Canada, in US, there are tons and tons of B schools. in Canada there are just a handful of good business schools. Actually, these are the, you can say, these are the only good B schools, right? There are about 5 to 6 top good B schools, and they have excellent placements. Because of their proximity to US, you also get placements in the US. They have got very friendly permanent residency policies. So if you want to settle, if you want to settle down in Canada, then it's great. Then in Europe, in the top schools in the 700 category, you have got Oxford, Cambridge. You have got these top schools where yes, 700 plus is what would be required. GMAT 650 to 700 range, you will have these B schools. Then in the 580 range, you will have these ones. I would probably not recommend this. Currently the job opportunities not that great in Europe, so if you have a score less than 650, then probably you should stick to US and not Europe. UC Dublin, actually it's a very good schools for the software engineers. There the IT industry is amazing there, so anybody who are currently in the IT industry and want to continue with the IT industry, UC Dublin has a it actually its IT income is greater than India actually. Ireland is the hot place for IT industry currently. SAM, actually German B schools, very few people go to German B schools. The reason is that in Germany, to be able to get a job, it's you will need to know the local language. That's why not many people go to German B schools, and there are not many top German B schools as well. Don't worry, we'll upload the entire webinar, so this will be available on the link that our facilitator had emailed earlier. Now in the US, US is a whole different ball game. There are lots of colleges, tons of colleges. So in the US, if you have to think about it, there is something called, what we categorize as top 25. You can call them the IIMs of IIM ABCL IK of US. So they are these 25. It's not a comprehensive list, of course, but really top end ones. Then you can say these next 50 would be equivalent to the other in case of India. Let's say if we have to compare with Indian B schools, this will be the MDI Gurgaon's or Accelerize or SP Jains or the newer IIMs. They are good. They are definitely very good, but definitely not an IIM Ahmedabad or IIM Bangalore Calcutta category. So this would be the next 50. Then the rest would be these are also great B schools. These will be similar to your IMT Ghaziabad kind of colleges. They are definitely good, but not an IIM Bangalore, right? So in the US, because there are lots of options, you have got tons of colleges. And if you see, the GMAT score ranges also vary. So that's what I mean. If your GMAT score is less than 600, you will still get great options in US. You will not get great options anywhere else. Everywhere else you will get only quite bad options, and those colleges would not be worth going to. But in the US, you will still end up with really good B scores. Okay, so that's a wrap. These are some of the resources, the links. You can find the university deadlines in this link, a comprehensive list of university deadlines, round-wise deadlines. The webinar recordings, recordings of this webinar as well as the 2 webinars that are already done. So you can listen to the recordings here. And if you have any questions, any specific profile related questions, then please email us at this ID. It's information@jamboreeindia.com. During the webinar, we did see a lot of personal profile based questions. We could not take those up for obvious reasons, but you can email those at this ID and we will get back to you on that. Right, so I'll see you on 1st August. That is our next webinar in the series. It's on, the topic is how to finance your MBA. What are the different scholarship options available? What are the different loan options available? So the next webinar is on August 1st, same time, 12 p.m. In fact, you will see the entire calendar here on this link. On this link you will see the entire calendar. Actually you might want to mark this in your calendar. So August 1st we meet again. I hope to see some of you. Thank you guys. Have a great week.